Secretary of State Maggie Toulouse-Oliver and Valencia County Clerk Peggy Carbajal, thank you both so much for being here. We really appreciate it. Maggie, I wanted to start with you. What are the federal requirements for mail-in or absentee voting?
Well, in terms of the law, we are required to make sure that our overseas and military voters have access to ballots via the mail starting 45 days before the election. We're not required to have mail-in voting here in New Mexico, but of course we do. We have state statutes and have for a long time that allow for any voter who chooses to vote absentee through the mail to do so. What we are doing for this election, of course, is working closely with the Postal Service. They have very specific guidelines that they advise us to follow around making sure that ballots get to and from their intended delivery point effectively and quickly.
Okay. What are some of those guidelines and the ones that are sort of important to people that they need to know?
Sure. Well, what the Postal Service has told us and has been emphasizing over and over again this year is that they have a really effective system and that they can handle the increased volume of election mail. But they do have best practices, and the best practice in the Postal Service's eyes is to make sure that you give a full week between when you put something in the mail and when it gets to its intended delivery point. So here in New Mexico, during the special session this summer, we put some guidelines into place for absentee ballots that will allow for the full 7 days time for a ballot to get mailed to a voter and for the voter to have that full 7 days to return that ballot through the mail as well, along with implementing intelligent barcode, which is going to allow a voter, a county clerk, or anybody to be able to see where that ballot is at any point in the delivery process through our mail system.
Peggy, can you walk me through sort of what your office will get out of that system?
Yes, thank you. I think voters should have confidence in both their postal workers and their election administrators. We had some hiccups in the primary election, but after working with our local postmaster, those were resolved. And as Madam Secretary said, I think the voters should probably wait a week before actually receiving their ballots for the November election.
Okay, and then it sounds like get them in as soon as possible is kind of your advice.
Yes.
The Postal Service, specifically the Postmaster General for the U.S., has sort of pivoted away from some of the planned changes, but it sounds like there are also actual changes that have been made. Maggie, can you run us down what you know about post boxes, mail sorting machines, things like that? Where are we?
From my understanding of where we are here in New Mexico currently, some of the bigger changes that had been implemented were the removal or decommissioning of the big sorting machines in the Albuquerque main office, as well as the implementation of that ESAS pilot program, which was just sending carriers out first thing in the morning with the mail that was there, rather than waiting for every piece of mail that could come in to be delivered that day, preventing them from making return trips, multiple trips back out on their route. Both of those issues, to my current today knowledge, have been resolved. The sorting machines are being returned to the Albuquerque and recommissioned to the Albuquerque main office, and that ESAS program has been canceled. There were two pilots, one in Santa Fe and one in Albuquerque at two different stations, and that program has been put on pause as well. Moving forward. So basically, my understanding of where we are today is that we are status quo here in New Mexico in terms of those changes that were being implemented, and we're going to keep a close eye on that moving forward.
Sure. And Peggy, you're sort of the first point of contact for a lot of voters when they have questions. Are you getting questions about the Postal Service and its role?
Yes, for the primary we did get a lot of questions. And like I said, I think just meeting with the postmaster and then telling the voters that they would be getting their ballot, as quickly as possible. I think just communication, just keeping communication open with the post office seemed to really help.
The president, as he's voiced concern, seems to be concerned that ballots will get to and presumably be cast by people who no longer live at the address that's maybe on the voter rolls, people who might be dead. The question, of course, is, does that happen? And how can you be sure that you're getting a legitimate ballot back?
Unfortunately, Matt, I think that there's a big disconnect between, we have this partisan rhetoric going on, in the heat of a presidential race, and then we have the practical and real application of election law, going on at the ground level in the states. And I think, unfortunately, there's just a huge disconnect there. What I know and what I believe my colleague, Clerk Carbajal, knows is that we have a lot of systems in place to make sure, first and foremost, that we are sending a ballot to a registered voter at the address, either where they're currently living or where they currently are staying, in order to get that absentee ballot. They're required to provide a variety of personal information to us that's not public information, so that we know it's them, including their signature. We send their ballot to them, and then when it comes back to us, we are now requiring here in New Mexico the signature and the last four of the Social Security number, which are two pieces of information that the voter has and that the county clerk has, but that the public at large does not have. We also are only mailing to voters applications for a ballot that we know are currently getting their mail at that address. So if they've moved, if we've gotten return mail from them, they are not going to get that automatic application like Peggy is going to send in Valencia County.
And Peggy, can you talk to us a little bit about your decision to send the automatic application? That's not an actual ballot, but it's a way for folks to request it.
Correct. We have had a lot here in Valencia County. We have had a lot of requests already, but we are telling them that we will be mailing them out September 14th. And the reason for my decision on that was that I don't want to confuse the voters. We did that in the primary. So I think if we keep consistently with what we do with the process, the voters will feel more comfortable, and it's their decision. It's their option to vote in that respect.
What kind of utilization did you see during the primary in Valencia County of absentee voting?
Here in Valencia County, it was a little confusing at first, with a lot of voters that had never voted absentee, and I think that they absolutely thought that they had to. We did consolidate our polling locations here. And I really believe that they thought they had to vote one way, but there's always options. They can still vote early. And I think there was just some confusion, but we tried that through Facebook, through brochures and stuff like that, to get the word out to the voters, to make sure that they know basically how to get that information out to them. And it seemed to work. So just constant communication with the voter really helps.
Secretary, are you finding that there's a fair bit of confusion out there among voters as to how they're supposed to cast a ballot in November?
I think Peggy's right. Between the pandemic, the misinformation and disinformation, again, that partisan toxic rhetoric that's just sort of out there, voters are really inundated with a lot of confusing and conflicting information. And I think that Peggy's right. It's really important that we as election officials are doing everything we can with the means that we have available to us to communicate with the voter to make it more clear. So in our office, and I know Peggy and our county clerks across the state, we are already starting the process for this general election of making sure know what their options are, what is going to be available to them if they choose an in-person option, when and where those locations will be. And then, of course, making clear that the absentee option is absolutely available. It is something that I have and continue to encourage, particularly if we see a second wave of the pandemic coming up here in the next month or two. The numbers look good right now, but we don't know what they're going to be in October. So, Yes, there has been confusion this year because of just the state of the world right now, but we are working diligently to cut through that clutter and make sure that voters know what their options are and how, when, and where to cast that ballot.
Can I request an absentee ballot right now?
You can. And right now, the paper form is available. It's available online on my website. If you call Peggy or any of the county clerk's offices, they will happily put one in the mail to you that day that you can return. And our online absentee portal will be going live just towards the end of this month. And we did see a lot of voters really choose that option during the spring, and we anticipate heavy use of that this fall as well to apply online for a ballot.
Do either of you have a good feel for whether clerks are utilizing the ability to start counting some of these absentee ballots early? I know that's sort of anathema to how we sort of think an election would work, but there are provisions in the law that do allow for early tabulation of absentee ballots. Is that correct?
We normally bring our absentee poll officials in 5 days before. And they do their processing, everything. They don't run anything through the tabulator, of course, until election night. But we had a little less than 10,000 for the primary. So it was fairly busy, but the process works well with what we have in place.
And for the larger counties, Madam Secretary, how do you sort of ask them to work with, when they have, say, tens of thousands of absentee ballots?
Well, the county clerks, they know well, what they're dealing with in their own county. And I do think that during the primary, just the sheer volume of ballots took all of us by surprise. The primary election looked very different ultimately from what we had been planning for back in early March before the pandemic. And we were already well down the road of planning. But what I can say is from the conversations that I've had with county clerks in big counties and small across the state is they do understand that getting started earlier is going to be of the essence in this November election, that they're going to need all the time they can get, especially because we potentially are facing big challenges hiring enough folks, having enough folks come in and work, serving as those absentee poll officials that Peggy talked about to help with that process. And when you don't have enough folks, what you need is more time. Right. So we do have those provisions in place, as Peggy said, and I do think our clerks will be taking advantage of that.
Well, I want to thank you both for taking some time with us. This is an important topic and we'll continue to follow it. But thanks for all your hard work, too. We really appreciate it.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for doing this.